What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, Aqua Life Baby. You already know. Today, guys, I wanted to bring you guys a bit of an overdue turn report, well, double turn report for my Messiah deck. Went to a tournament on Saturday, then worked Sunday, then went to a tournament on Monday. As you guys know, this is my first tournament experiences with the Messiah deck since I was able to complete it a few weeks ago. As you know, it's been a struggle trying to complete this deck since G-Set 3, since Amnesty Messiah, as you guys know, is probably the most expensive card in the game right now, alone, most expensive card in the game, next to Next Stage. So yeah, but it's been a very rewarding experience getting it. You guys saw the deck profile, but Thursday and Friday night before the Saturday tournament, I was working on the deck, just getting some experience in a Cardfight area. I was playtesting with my brother and some of the teammates, and I was just working on my philosophy with the deck. And I realized something that I needed to change up things in the G zone. I changed up my philosophy within within the deck and how I play things, because as I gain more experience playing with the deck, I was starting to see more plays, starting to see things that I could do a lot better, starting to see things that I'm better set up for early game, and then I can go into later in the game. So I'll explain all of that in an updated deck profile after this video. But I'll just say that the deck has changed quite a bit, and I did change up the G zone to to reflect this change in philosophy and what I've been seeing and experiencing. So with the tournament on Saturday, the first tournament I was able to play Messiahs, and I did go undefeated with this deck. I did go undefeated. Round one, I played against Tsukiyomi. I won 2-1. I only lost game two because I got double critted 2 turns in a row, and I didn't see any perfect guards that game at all. But game 1 and 2 pretty much went. I was able to go first strike amnesty, and was able to get some nice crit pressure. And then I just went into Excelix, and I was able to finish the game off because I was able to establish a nice back row with Sacrifice Messiah being able to lock himself and then distribute power. And Lady Battle of the Gravity Well is such a, from my playtesting, has become such an important card, and I'm glad that I have kept her at 4, because she is such an important card and a very good combo piece. That combos extremely well with Sacrifice Messiah. So she's been such an MVP, in this tournament, and in every game that I've played with her. She's been such a key card in the deck. So definitely Gravity Well came in handy and made a lot of plays. So yeah, definitely won that. Then I played against Risers in the next round. Was able to win that 2-0. That one took quite a while to finish, because I was thinking about the plays. My friend, I was thinking about plays. Again, it's my first round experience. I was still learning with the deck, still trying to see what I needed to do with the deck. But I was playing against Risers. I was trying to prevent him from restaying with Cat Butler because he has shouts and things of that nature. But I was able to lock his field successfully. He was hitting some defensive triggers, so that did hinder some of my plans a bit. But my Excelix turns worked out. I was able to, if I wasn't able to finish him on Excelix, I was able to go into big crunch the field. But Excelix was able to, I was able to make some really good numbers on Excelix, and then the following turn I was able to push out the rest of the cards from his hand, because Excelix forced out a good amount of cards from his hand, especially when he was in that nice high damage area. And then when I went into Big Cruncher, or if I went into a third Amnesty, I was able to secure the game there due to the low hand advantage that my opponent had from the Excelix turn. But again, it also helps that the way that, again, like I said, when I have a change in philosophy for my deck, my deck is better for a first strike amnesty, and the reason why I like first strike amnesty, and I'll cover more of that in the updated deck profile. But with first strike amnesty, it's either you can force out a perfect guard really early in the game, or you can put on some really early crit pressure. And if you do hit a crit trigger on top of Amnesty having that crit, then then that's like that's 3 damage that you're going to put on the board on your first stride turn, which puts them in the corner already. Then that opens up plays. Now obviously if they hit heal triggers and goes back down, then that is what it is. But that puts them in a corner, so then you can go to, then that opens up options. You can go into big crunch to extend your control, and then you can start then you start your drawing effects, or you can go into Excelix for that extra push. You can go to Excelix for the extra push, because then they'll already be in that corner to just force out those cards in hand, because when your units unlock, they gain an extra 3k. So then you can start making your 22k rows, or 26, depending on how you combo it, if you have Gravity Well, Awakening, and things of that nature. So that's just one reason why I really like the first stride Amnesty, for how the deck's set up with Awakening, with Gravity Well, if we're able to keep Neon Messiah on the board and whatnot. But yeah, so Risers did that. Then I played against, our boy Black Steve, playing Tachi Kazes, the new Gaia Emperor. I'll have his deck profile up sometime soon, hopefully. I was able to win that one 2-0. Both games we pretty much went the same way. He crit me early on, and I was pretty much at 5 damage by the time I was able to go into my first, about 4 or 5 damage by the time I was able to go into my first stride. And so I did see at least a perfect guard to guard his Vanguard column, and I was able to block certain units. I did have to risk maybe letting his Vanguard hit me while I was at 4 damage, and risk him not hitting a crit trigger, but I was able to hit a heal trigger on offense and go back down to between, I usually stayed in between 5 and 3 damage against him, because of the early game pressure that his deck was able to force on, and then some of the late game pressure before I started getting off my locks. But I was able, with Link Jokers, I was able to shut out his ability to go into Gluttony Dogma, and get his restand plays on me, as well as do his combos with Gaia Emperor. So I was able to secure myself from stopping him from doing that. And again, with Excelix, I was able to push out cards from his hand if I didn't kill him with Excelix. Again, it was late in the game. The first straight MC, he did let hit on 3 damage. I didn't check crit, but he was at 5, which again opened me up to either going into another Amnesty, go into an Excelix to make numbers and push out hand advantage, or go into a big crunch to extend control. Then even if I'm not getting off as many attacks at higher numbers and forcing too many cards in hand, I'll unlock my own units, get some draw off, build up some hand, and then singular guard his Vanguard attack, and then come back the next turn with like an Excelix or an Amnesty, and then continue to push his hand with that extra advantage I built up from that previous turn. So that's pretty much how I approached that matchup, and was able to win that matchup. And then the final round, because we just cut it top 4, and the judge just distributed packs based upon final standings. And I played against, as you guys saw, Zach, who we did the Spike Brothers deck profile on. He was playing his Spike Brothers, obviously, but it was a different build from what you guys saw in the Spike Brothers deck, because we reconfigured his deck afterwards. But I was able to take that 2-0. Again, this was his first tournament with the deck as well, with the news things. So as he was learning with the things, and I was still learning with the Messiahs, we were still figuring some things out. But I was able to win that 2-0. The thing I do love about Messiahs is that even if he was clearing his field. Both games pretty much went the same way. He would clear his field of monsters, using the Reckless Express, High Speed Brackies to Soul Blast and go back to the deck, so that I wouldn't be able to lock his board, so that he can call his units back out and have his offensive turns, so that Link Jokers can't control his board, which is a smart strategy. But the thing about Messiahs is that since Messiahs are able to lock themselves, and then get effects off of locking themselves, and then combo with that ability, I was able to just safely build up my board, lock what I needed to lock on my board, and then I was able to just do my combos and force pressure on him and really force his hand down because, as you know, Spike Brothers do not have the best hand advantage in the world. They're one of the worst decks when it comes to actually building up hand because they between Rising Nova and Wing Killer and some of the other strides, they're throwing cards from their hand into the soul to do certain things. So pretty much both games went the same way. First stride Amnesty was able to force out a Perfect Guard on the first game, but then I was able to go into an Excelix or just another Amnesty. But I was able to build up a nice field, get in some multiple attacks. I saw Awakening Messiah both games. And then game 2, he no-guarded Amnesty at 3 damage. It was my first stride Amnesty. No-guarded Amnesty at 3 damage. And I checked a crit. So that is what it is. But the fact, again, like I said, the fact that Messiahs don't necessarily rely on my opponent having cards locked on their field, or having a field in general, is a big bonus to Messiahs being a really nice Link Joker deck, because I can have my own field and I can lock my field and then gain abilities around that. And then the Monday tournament. In the Monday tournament, I had a round 1 bye. I took out the White Dwarfs for that tournament, and I was trying out the Dark Metal Chameleons. And then round 2, I played against Gear Chronicles. It was the Chronos Command Revolution build with Ragnarok no next stage. Was some time leap. It was some sort of time leap variant. Game 1, I lost game 1 because literally I had all 8 crits in deck, all 4 heals in deck, and two out of 4 draws in the deck. I was at 5 damage. I got critted on 3. I was at 5. I was drive checking, no triggers at all, and he swung with Chrono Jet for 21, and I didn't have enough to guard. I only had a draw trigger in hand and intercept on board, and so all I could do was match it. So I had to no guard it, and I lost. I just didn't see. I had perfect guards and everything, but I didn't have any triggers. Literally, like I said, I had 8 crit triggers and 4 heals, 2 draws still left in the deck. And this was after two triple drives and grade 2s and whatnot. But then game 2 and 3 pretty much went. Game two, I was able. The hard thing about Gear Chronicle playing that matchup was that whether I had Dark Chameleon or not, he went to like the Gear Eagle first to do the time leap thing and flip the Chronos Command. Then he went to Revolution my board, so to get rid of the resist unit. He had. So that was pretty difficult, and Chrono Jet has its own field control abilities, but he also had Calibum, that 8k card that sends the card back, and then you have to call a grade less. So he was getting rid of my starter, so I had to make different plays and commit certain cards from my hand. So that Ultra Ego, when I did stride on top of I actually had to target a lot, because if you don't I wish he had an Ultimate ability, but since he doesn't have an Ultimate ability where I can call a card first, then distribute power, or call a card first, then lock it, him and like Big Belly suffer from the same, suffer the same, where if you don't have a field setup for, prior to you striding, then, you can't really start getting off your things, then you have to rely on whatever else you have in your hand. So it was pretty difficult, to lock certain things on this board to get certain things started, especially because particularly in that matchup, I wasn't seeing my Gravity Wells. I was barely seeing my Arrestor Messiahs. And I was seeing my Awakenings to a degree. But, I really wasn't seeing my Gravity Wells as often as I needed to. And I run 4. I was seeing Arrestor, more often than I was my Awakenings, but it was just... it was just really hard, and I really relied on Sacrifice Messiah for some of my lock plays and whatnot. So it was very difficult. But then it just came down to game 3. He went into that Marching Colossus. All I had was Dark Metal, Awakening, and a Sacrifice on board. He spun back my Awakening with Chrono Jet. Then he spun back my Sacrifice with Colossus. I had perfect guards and everything in hand, but I I had 11 triggers left in the deck. I was not seeing my heal. I had all 4 heals. I had most of my crits in deck. Still had like a draw or 2 in my deck, and I was like, well, I don't have enough to guard his Colossus, so I no guarded. He did hit a crit. I was at 4, but I hit a heal trigger on 6. And then I was like, all right, hit a heal trigger on 6. So then once I hit a heal trigger on 6, that's when I started to that's when I started to see my triggers after that turn. So you start seeing my triggers finally. An extend control on the board, go into Excelix, push his hand, and then he did hit a draw on 5, which helped, drew into enough shielding that he needed to survive. But then I was able to go into an amnesty because he didn't check a perfect guard and finish the game there. And then I played against one of my boys, Anton. He was playing with Chaos Breaker, and sorry, I need a drink. He's playing with Chaos Breaker, and the Chaos Breaker and Messiah matchup is very one-sided. I'm not saying that it's an impossible matchup at all, because I have won with Chaos Breaker against Messiah, but it is not an easy matchup, and especially for how my Stride deck is constructed, at least. So it just wasn't. It just wasn't. So both games pretty much went the same way. He set up. Regardless of if he locked my field or not. If he did lock my field, he helped me set up my first Stride amnesty. And if he didn't lock my field, then I would lock his field, and I would have a first Stride amnesty set up, in there regardless. And if he universed me, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Chaos Breaker sets up your amnesty plays, and he didn't have an amnesty Messiah. He didn't have an amnesty Messiah in his tri deck yet, because obviously amnesty Messiah is very hard to come by these days, especially at a fair price. So that matchup I just went 2-0, and it was just pretty one-sided. But then and then the final round I played against Pale Moon. And again, we cut it top 4. It was very late, and I had to go to a city council meeting in the morning. But we against Pale Moon, we went 3 games. I won. I lost game 1 because everything that could go wrong did. I didn't see Alter Ego. I was drawing into the back of Vanguard. That was just not good. You in this deck, guys, in the Messiah deck, you really don't want to ride the Lady Gunner back of Vanguard, which is why I'm probably going to try out 2 copies of Freeze Ray just to give me at least 6 ride targets, because Alter Ego, you have to be on Alter. Alter Ego is the foundation of this deck, and if you're not on Alter Ego, then a lot of things just will not go the way you need them to. And so I was on her. I couldn't get to I couldn't get to Destiny Dealer, so I can drop her and get Alter Ego out the deck. I got crit twice early on, and I was damage checking Destiny Dealers and Gravity Wells and Dustblade and whatnot. So it was just very ugly from the get-go. So I did have to ride the grade 3, and I had to drop her. I did top deck an Arrestor Messiah, thank goodness. So I was able to, lock my own Neon Messiah. But his build of the Pale Moon deck involved literally a majority of non-G-Break cards. So, with Hell's Gate, Dark Side, Midnight Bunny, Purple Trapezes, and that other back of grade 3 that is like a Hell's Gate on the rear guard circle. He was able to force off a lot of early game pressure, along with the crit triggers that he was checking early game. And then game two, I was able to actually see everything, see my Alter Ego, right up to 3, do what I need to do. I got one of my favorite combos in the deck, which is Sacrifice and Arrestor, so I was able to do that combo. With my first Stride amnesty, force an early perfect guard, was able to guard his turn, then go. Then I was able to go into. I went into another amnesty Messiah, and then instead of an Excelix, I went to another amnesty Messiah. I did hit a crit, was able to push into 5, and then he did go into Harry. He used up his counter blast. He did go into Harry, which used up the last of his counter blast. Was able to survive that turn. with some of the drawing abilities, and then I went into an Excelix Messiah and was able to push out the rest of cards out of his hand and finish the game there. And then game three I didn't even get to grade 3. It just really wasn't optimal. It was literally the same way as grade 1, except a little faster. Too many cards that worked early game that pressured me, and I was damage checking nothing, and I didn't have any shields in hand to guard with. He crit me too early on, and literally he rode into grade 3, dropped his hand, checked a crit in the stand. I couldn't guard it at 4. I couldn't guard it at 4, and yeah, so I still ended up getting top, still whatever. So overall, and out of 2 tournaments, I only lost 1 match with Messiahs. So pretty good, very good. I'm very proud of the deck. Very happy that very happy that I've been able to have a pretty successful run with the deck so far. Right now, I'm in the right now we're in a little bit. I'm in a bit of an off season with Vanguard, with the Aqua Force right now. Off season meaning just a little vacation. Just getting used to other decks that I've been meaning to play before I get into the swing of things for the tournament season. But yeah, so it's been fun. I think I'm gonna start working on Chaos Breaker next. I'm gonna bring you guys an updated deck profile of Messiahs soon after this video as well. All right, so Cardfight King, and I'm out. Peace.